horror Halloween special. I am horror author H. Duke, and this is my younger brother.
Hi, my name my name is Screw Loose. Sorry for the botch there. My name is Screw Loose. I'm a filmmaker.
Very nice. And I'm not laughing at him. I'm laughing because I also botched the intro just a few seconds ago. But
yeah, I watched you do that, and I'm just like, I was thinking in my head, I'm like, I'm not gonna do that. And then as soon as I thought that, I did that. So it's usually how it goes.
yep, that is how it goes. I mean,
Hmm.
I botch everything, so
Yeah.
that
I'm also of the thought that I'm like, sometimes you gotta leave those botches in because it makes these things seem more real for the people listening, hopefully.
yeah. Yep.
Yep.
I normally can't word anyway, so
Yeah. I know the feeling. When I tried to do my own podcast a little while back, I mean, I still do it from time to time, but it's definitely a lot more since it's me on my own and I have my notes. I don't know. You make a lot of botches.
yeah.
It's,
And also like when you're doing it on your own like that, like it's more noticeable because it's not like conversational. Like when you're talking with someone, you mess up words sometimes. It just happens.
yeah.
But yeah,
Well, it's weird.
let's oh go ahead.
No, it's weird because, I make films and I do a lot of kind of scripted stuff. And although I didn't want this other podcast to be too scripted, I have my notes and stuff and I kind of have thoughts of what I'm going to say. And I feel like I should be able to, since I have experience as a filmmaker and doing acting in some of my films, I shouldn't have such a hard time sometimes, but I don't know. Yeah. The conversations are way easier.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. But I guess let's stop talking about messing up words and let's start talking about today's topic, which is trick or treating.
Awesome.
Everyone's famous, not famous, favorite Halloween pastime. I don't know. What do you remember most about trick or treating when you were a kid, John?
Well, first off, before I talk about that, I want to say that I actually, a couple nights ago, had a dream where I realized, I can go trick or treating. I just have to wear a costume and hope people assume that I'm just a big kid.
Right? Yeah. Well, so how old were you like when you stopped going trick or treating?
um, I think I did it a couple of years into middle school, so probably like, I don't know, sixth or seventh grade. So we finally decided that. Probably a little too old for it. I think it was more so just I would have kept going. I think it was more so social pressure from my classmates that you started realizing you're like the oldest one trick or treating. So I'm like, okay, maybe it's time to call it quits.
Right. Yeah. I
Reluctantly though, because I mean, who wants to quit trick or treating? I mean, it's fun.
right. It's the best. It's the best. Like when you're that age, it's the best part about Halloween because you go outside and everything, like all the decorations and the lights and people are screaming. It just feels like so much more heightened and like
Hmm.
so much more fantastical than the regular everyday. Like I'm getting like goosebumps just thinking about it because that was like my favorite night of the year when I was that age.
Hmm.
I guess so. I think I stopped around that age too. I think my last year was when I was 12 or 13, but I have to admit, like in high school, my friends and I must have been 17. Like we went out and we trick or treated like around a block. Just and like we weren't trying to like, play pranks or anything. We just wanted a little bit of that, nostalgia, right?
Yeah.
But I think we did feel a little embarrassed, so we didn't do too much, but just a little bit when I was 17.
Well, there are houses where I don't know. I don't know why some people get so uppity, but there's some people where you go to their houses and if you're too old, I guess for some reason they'll reject you candy and it's just like, just give the people candy. I'm like, who cares?
Yeah, honestly, I don't like that. Like you don't know how old kids are. Like
Hmm.
this is something for me. Like I matured very early, so I looked a lot older than I was when I was like 9 and 10.
Yeah.
So like people probably thought that I was like some teenager trick-or-treating, but I wasn't.
Hmm.
And so I don't think people should assume. And then there's also people who, you know, they're, mentally like they just, they're younger than they really are. And like those people should be able to enjoy themselves and not be stigmatized, you know?
Sure. And I think you're asking me what I remember about trick or treating from when I was a kid, and mostly putting on your Halloween costume. You're waiting for that time. I remember it almost seemed like a race. Like for some reason, you get done with school, you'd go home, and you had like 30 minutes to an hour before trick or treating was about to start. So you have to throw your costume on, and it's almost like the start of a race. You're waiting for that time to hit, and then you start going. I would grab a pillowcase. I mean, I like the idea of the classic plastic pumpkin, candy bucket, but
Not
we would
big enough.
always
Not big
not big
enough.
enough. You would use the pillowcase, and you would get that thing full up at the end of the day. I remember, I mean, you move fast, and you move fast and try and hit as many houses as you can. And it's just being out there, like trick or treating doesn't seem to happen at night really anymore. I mean,
Mm-mm.
but you'd go around, and maybe it was our neighborhoods. Our neighborhoods always had like awesome Halloween decoration displays. Sometimes there'd be like haunted houses run out of people's garages and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You'd eventually run into your friends. It'd be cool to see like classmates and people at different houses, and you would trade information like which house is giving out the full size candy bars. And you just do that. We would trick or treat together a lot, but there's a few years we'd also go with friends, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's what I remember really about it.
Yeah, for sure. Gosh, it's bringing back memories. Like what you said about it being a race. I remember like towards the end of the night, you'd be going down the street, right? And like you would see like houses, like the lights turning off, and you'd be like, oh, we have to go and like get to as many houses as possible.
Yeah.
I remember me and my one friend, we would like run, like sprint from house to house, like at that time, just to get to one more house. And it really wasn't about the candy for me.
Yeah.
I don't think it is for a lot of kids, especially like you said, when you have like that big pillowcase full. It's just the experience. Like you just want that night to just keep going.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I wanted a lot of candy, not just because I was into candy, but it's kind of like, I don't know, a success thing,
Right. Yeah.
getting the most candy. And I don't know, I'm pretty sure we would count candy, and I don't think it was a horrible competition, but I think, we wanted to see who had gotten the most. Sometimes, usually that's when you're breaking off with your other friends. Like, all right, Haley's going with her friends. I'm going with mine. Who's going to get the most candy at the end of the night?
Oh,
There
do
was a
you
couple
remember
times like that.
like sorting your candy at the end of the night? Like you dump
Oh
it
yeah.
out on the living room floor and you'd like put all your favorite ones, all the chocolate ones, and then all the
Yep.
and I remember like there would always be a house that would hand out those little like religious pamphlets.
Yeah.
Like that would tell you like what hell would be like if you didn't live a good life. And I'm just like, whoa, this is probably the
Give that a
scariest
kid.
thing I've seen tonight.
Well, I remember something like that, but not as intense as that. There was a dentist. This girl in my class, we knew her dad was a dentist, and I think they would hand out candy, but they would also hand out a toothbrush with the candy they'd give you.
Yep.
And I bet everybody has a story like that. You're going to end up with a toothbrush in your baggie at one point, and I know probably for the best, except when you're a kid, you don't really want that.
Yeah. I mean, your parents are probably like, hey, great, a toothbrush.
Yeah. And I think we were fortunate though. I mean, like our neighborhoods, we said this in our episode 1 podcast, but we're from Bettendorf, and we lived around Paul Norton Elementary School. I mean, we lived in 2 houses on either side of that school, and our neighborhood was just, I know, yeah, a lot of times it was like something out of a good Halloween movie with, a lot of houses with a lot of people who would hand out candy and decorations on their house, and would really make it special for a Halloween night.
Yeah, like you have to appreciate the guy, like the people who would, like act and like make it seem real for kids. Like I remember this one guy, he used to set up this window through his garage, and it would have like strobe
Mhm.
lights going, and I think he had like those electric balls that you can get at like Spencer's, and you put your hands on it and
Yeah.
like manipulates the electricity inside, and it would have something like that, and then he would like be dressed up in a werewolf costume behind it, and it would look so cool. And then he would like throw the candy out at you.
I remember that. I mean, I only remember it the 1 year, but it looked like it was a mirror. Eventually, they'd pop on the light, and sometimes it would be a normal person giving you candy, and all of a sudden, it would be the werewolf. Or at least that's how I
Yeah.
remembered it.
Yeah.
And it was kind of spooky, kind of scary because, it's just, I don't know, through the glass, it was like a very well done effect. And you're kind of like, when I was a kid, I'm like, oh shit, that's scary. So,
Yeah. Those people are like the true MVPs because they really make the night for the kids. And I don't know, like I do kind of wonder, like, do you think if we went back to that same neighborhood, do you think it would be the same now? Or do you think it would be?
I wouldn't mind maybe driving through this year and seeing what it's like.
Mhm.
However, I mean, you like to hand out candy. You don't get a lot of trick or treaters, but you like to hand out candy, so maybe it wouldn't be feasible for you. Yeah, I would love to drive through that neighborhood and see if it's still like that because, part of trick or treating is eventually, you do it as a kid, you transition out of it, you become an adult, and you switch over to now it's kind of your turn to hand out candy and, make the night
Mhm.
special for these young kids growing up. So you kind of like, yeah, you got to recycle it through the newer generation. So you kind of pay it forward to the new
Yeah, for
kids. And
sure.
however, and maybe it is a neighborhood thing, but I've noticed through the years it doesn't seem like a lot of people want to hand out candy anymore. I don't know why.
Right. Like I feel like even mom's house, right? Like there used to be more trick-or-treaters there than there are now.
Yeah.
Um, and I honestly, so I did some research for this episode. I was just looking into like trick-or-treating stats and everything. And I did notice that like people with kids who are like, a certain age, their 30s to their 40s, they they're the ones who are handing out candy. But
Hmm.
like once you get old enough that you don't really have like kids in your house anymore, you're not handing out candy anymore. So I do wonder if because, the baby boomer generation was so large, if that's kind of why handing out candy has sort of died out a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they're just not handing out candy anymore.
Hmm. I don't know. I mean that it's kind of interesting. Yep. I don't know.
Yeah, it is sad. But so like what do you think about stuff like trunk or treat?
I never liked that. Even when I was a kid, I mean, they had trunk or treats when we were kids. I'm like, that sounds stupid. Because I mean, part of it is covering territory and seeing a lot of different houses, not just wandering around a parking lot and stopping at people's cars. I mean, yeah, trick or treating is about more than just the candy. It's about, traveling around the neighborhood, seeing different people, seeing different houses, hopefully seeing some good decorations. And I don't know. I mean, maybe it's better if you have like a really little kid, maybe they'll get tired and you don't want to take them too far from the house, but I don't know. I mean, I can't imagine those trunk or treat events are that big where the kid's gonna get as much candy even if they just went around their neighborhood. So I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I don't like dislike them on their face. Like I feel like if they're in addition to trick or treating, it's good. Just like one more thing you can do for the Halloween season with your family. Like I do think a lot of people are turning to trunk or treats now because like I don't have kids, right? But if I did and I lived on the street that I live on, if I took my kids trick or treating, there would be like two or three houses, right,
Yeah.
that are handing out candy. So maybe like trunk or treat would be like kind of an alternative to that. So I kind of get it. And I do think it's cool that people, decorate their trunks and they get into it. They're also making it special for kids, but yeah, I do feel like something's being lost there. Like just like going out into your community, like your actual community where you're living and not just the people who are participating in the trunk or treat for
Yeah.
sure.
How much do you think because there'd always be the scary warnings about how somebody's gonna try and put like a razor blade in your candy or, get you, or if you're a parent with kids, try and like get your kid. However, I mean, I'll look into this again or Google it again. But from my understanding, is no random person has ever actually been killed like that. I think there's been like 5 instances of somebody trying to poison somebody with Halloween candy, and it was a specific person. It wasn't, a madman trying to take out random kids. And also, I think they just told you, check your candy. But how much of an influence do you think that is? Like, parents are just kind of scared of sending their kids out trick or treating, strangers, and what's going to happen.
I do think maybe that, I do think it's had an effect. I think as a society, we're more protective and more suspicious now than we used to be. People aren't really, getting to know their neighbors like they used to. And actually, I did look into that before this episode, and you're right. There are literally no records of random children being poisoned. There were 2 instances of children being poisoned on Halloween, but both of them were by their family members. Like, one was, and it's really sad, one was a child, his father put cyanide powder into pixie sticks and gave them to him because he had, I know. And the reason he did that is because he had a life insurance policy taken out on that child, and he wanted to collect on it, which is just absolutely horrendous.
I didn't think you could take out a life insurance policy on a kid. That seems like kind of a weird, I don't know, weird thing.
Like a sociopath, someone who just doesn't care about other people. And the other instance was, and this one, I think it might be one of the reasons that myth took off, because it was at first presented that the candy had been poisoned. But so this child died, and they found heroin like sprinkled into the candy that he had collected. So like when that first came out, it was, people thought, oh my gosh, this is an actual instance of candy being poisoned. But actually that child had gotten into his uncle's heroin stash, and they put the heroin powder in the candy to sort of like throw off the trail of the uncle, which, if I was a parent, I don't think I could do that. But yeah, it's really messed up.
Some bad people out there in the world.
Yeah, for sure.
Speaking of, not to change the topic too hard, but I'm trying to remember like all the Halloween costumes I wore growing up. Can you remember your like favorite Halloween costume going out?
Favorite Halloween costume? I have 2 actually. One year I was Mr. Mistopheles from Cats.
Mm-hmm.
And like
mom put a lot of work into that one. I remember, because he wanted to be the magician part where he's lighting up and stuff, so she had to like weave the lights into your coat.
Yep.
Like, I think mom kind of enjoyed bits of Halloween more than we did, or the costumes, because it usually meant she was going to get to make something for somebody. So
yeah, I think mom should get into cosplay. Actually, she'd be really good at it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so she like put the little lights, she pushed them through the fabric, and I had a little battery pack that I could turn on and off in my hand.
Mm-hmm.
That was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
And the other costume I remember and I like was also made by mom, and it was Poison Ivy from Tim Burton's Batman. Yeah.
Nope, that was Batman and Robin, but that was made by Joel Schumacher, not Tim Burton. So.
Oh, really?
You gotta fact check these things, Hilly.
Well, what can I do?
I'm just messing with you. Like I said,
you're gonna have to fact check before me. I'll tell you that.
We talked in the last episode that Grandpa said that we need to tease each other more. So, boom, instance 1 of me teasing you.
All right.
We should put up a scoreboard. We should put up a scoreboard of more so to tease Grandpa. I guess we'll put up a scoreboard in the corner of each of our video things of who has more teases on the other person.
Yeah, we could do that.
Yeah. So I'm trying to think about my costume. So there were some good ones and some bad ones. I remember 5th grade, I wanted to be the Scorpion King. And I'm just like, first off, I was very skinny in 5th grade. I think mom made me the Scorpion shield out of like cardboard, which it looked really cool. But it was windy out there trick-or-treating, so that tail was ripping off the things. It has like a scorpion tail on the bottom that hooks out of it. And because it was just cardboard. It was getting ripped off left and right. And I'm like, well, that's not good. But yeah, again, I'm skinny and I'm also white. And The Rock plays the Scorpion King and he's Samoan. Our pigments did not match.
Nope.
And I don't know. I remember I was the ghoul from Scream once, or the Scream face.
Was that where like the blood would like come down the mask and you had like a little pump you could pump?
Yeah, that was the year I got like the least creative with what I wanted to be. I don't know. I think I just wanted to do something with a mask because like the other boys in my class would always do kind of like a serial killer from whether it was Friday the 13th or Nightmare on Elm Street. So I think I wanted to kind of do like that. So I'm like, all right, I'm gonna be the Scream guy. But I mean, I've also been Darth Maul and Darth Vader. I was an alien one year. Mom made that costume. That was like, it was this like full suit, like it was a fabric suit. But I always remember that thing was kind of cool because I liked how it covered me totally. And then I think one of the best ones was actually I decided to go as Freddy Krueger one year, and Mom did this thing with paper mache where she made a mask that was actually unique to my face.
Mm-hmm.
So
that was
pretty
one.
Cool.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can pick a favorite though. Maybe the Freddy Krueger. Freddy Krueger did look good, so Freddy Krueger it is.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, have you ever had someone ask you to actually do a trick while you were trick-or-treating?
Yes, and I would get annoyed whenever they do that.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, just give me the candy. I'm trying to get to the next house. No, not really like that, but it's just like, I don't know. Not a lot of people would do it, but enough would do it where you'd be like, ha ha ha, man. Very original. Even as a kid, I was that like, I guess, sassy where I'm like, you're hilarious, mister.
Yeah. Didn't you have a trick that you were able to do though? Like something weird with your shoulder blades or something?
No, I don't think so.
Gosh, I don't remember what I'm thinking of then. Maybe it's from a movie.
Maybe it's one of your buddies.
Maybe.
And also, I always noticed it was always a guy who would pull that like little joke, never a woman. And I always seemed like it was a guy who's like, I'm gonna do this little, well, do a trick for me, right? And I'm like,
yeah, that does seem more like a guy thing to do.
Yeah.
Like having you on. Yep.
I don't know. Any other thoughts on trick-or-treating?
Nope, not that I can think of.
Well, I guess our PSA to people will be hand out candy. Trick-or-treating's awesome. Pay it forward.
No one's poisoning your candy. But still check it. Check your candy.
Still check it. I don't know. Make sure your child has a chaperone. Always tell them to go to the houses with the porch light on. I know some kids will still do that though. They'll go up to houses that don't have their lights on. I've noticed.
Yeah, I remember we did that one year. I think Mom took us to Davenport or something, and like we knocked on this house, and it looked like the light was on, and he literally gave us like that, like that old people candy.
Yeah.
He wasn't even an old guy, but it was like the butter, like the hard butterscotch candy.
Mm-hmm.
Like he just obviously like pulled it off of like a candy bowl on his nightstand or something.
Yeah. Oh, I have a funny story from trick-or-treating. I went up to a house that they didn't realize that having your porch light on meant that, you're supposed to give trick-or-treaters stuff, but it was these like college girls. I don't know. It was like close to a college campus, and they were like, oh my God. And they felt so bad. I think they ended up giving me money.
Oh my God.
And then I think they turned the porch light off because they're just like, yeah, we're gonna run out of money if we keep doing that. So, what can you do though? Alrighty, let's sign this one off. I had fun talking about trick-or-treating. And honestly, I don't know, kind of makes me a little happy and also a little sad, nostalgic about, thinking about the days that trick-or-treated in the past and,
Yeah, for sure.
Happy times gone by. All right, everybody. Thanks for listening to the Dukes of Horror Halloween special. My name is Screw Loose.
I'm H.H. Duke.
Have a good one.
Happy Halloween.